Alrighty, so you may have done the standing wide-legged forward fold. We're gonna look at the seated version of that pose, okay? So less balance, but you're gonna be sitting on your bum. So we want or may need a block for this. So you're gonna come to sit, and if you are someone who in your Sukhasana easy seated, you struggle to sit on the floor, you're most likely gonna need a block under your bum here as well. So when you extend the legs and take them wide, if you flex the foot, and when you flex the foot, it makes you roll back, you need a block, maybe two. Okay, so when you sit on that block, you want to be able to come forwards, and you might need two blocks there. So you're gonna take the feet wide, so nice and wide as you can go. And making sure that you feel like your butt cheeks are on a conveyor belt going behind you, and you've got that anterior tilt. Remember when we were standing, we had an anterior tilt weight in the balls of the feet, okay? So we're trying to mimic this. So coming onto that block if you need it, and then taking those legs wide, okay? So I can get my legs pretty wide, right? It doesn't matter how wide your feet are. Take them where you feel comfortable. Make sure that if you're using that block that the butt's up nice and high and you don't feel like, oh, I'm rolling backwards. From here, we flex the feet. So we're pulling the shins up, we're pulling the knees up, we're pulling the thighs up. If you need to have a slight bend in your knees here, that is fine as well, okay? Don't worry if the legs aren't totally straight. Now, fingertips, if you can, you're reaching for the floor. This is where another block comes in handy. Because what we don't want to do here is come down, rounding the spine. We want to stay up nice and tall. And a good way to check that you're not rounding the back is to look at the front of the chest. When we round our back, our shoulders come forwards and we concave our chest. So you want to keep this nice and flat. So either fingers on the floor or the block. The block is a nice place to start. Take an inhale, flex the feet, and then from the hips, you're going to start to come forwards. Okay, so you might be able to take that block forwards. What you don't want to do is start sending the chin towards the chest and rounding the chest down. If you can imagine that there's these lines coming out of these points, okay? So we're creating angles with our body. If the angle that you're creating with your chest is going like straight down between the thighs, it means you're rounding your back. You want to be shooting forwards and on an angle, like way beyond your mat. And for this pose, I would say use your mat lengthways like I am. So you're just going to turn to the side. And then we just stay like this. Inhale, find length. Exhale, use the hips and try to come forwards. Inhale, find length. Exhale, use the hips, try to come forwards. Now, I teach people who can get their body parallel to the floor, can hold on to their legs, and they're just folded in half. This is because they have naturally open hips, okay? A lot of us don't. Our hips are as unique, almost as unique as fingerprints, okay? So to expect that your hip is going to be the same to your neighbor or the next person to you, it's just unlikely, okay? Don't be angry at what your hips can't do. Instead, work with what your hips can do and know that you can grow on this. So you want to be maybe, again, staying for 10 or 20 breaths here. Flexing the feet, pulling the thighs in, sending the bum on that conveyor belt, coming through the hips to lean forwards. And that is your seated forward fold.